When you subscribe to WROK on YouTube, you never miss a meeting.
All right, thank you everyone for your patience. We have a little bit of extra work to do in closed session, so we're grateful for you considering that. So I'm going to call to order the Royal Oak City Commission meeting for Monday, January 10th, 2022 to order. We're going to begin with an invocation given by Mayor Pro Tem Macy, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I ask that you stand if you can, please. Thank you.
Almost 2 weeks ago, we lost a young Royal Oaker. A tragic, heartbreaking loss for his family, his friends, his school, our city, and his unfinished future. His name was Noah Julius London, and he was an outstanding young man whose life was intertwined with so many who are now struggling to cope with this sudden loss. At his celebration of life last Friday, his father spoke beautifully and movingly about Noah and about the dash that represents his life, the dash that will define each of us between the years of our birth and our death. For Noah, 2004 to 2021, with the dash containing each year, month, week, day of his life, each breath in and out, each smile and tear, each idea and hope. Noah's dad, David, pled with us all to use the dash well, to put out new things into the world. He told us to sing, dance, draw, paint, write bad poetry, design, invent things that will never be built, climb, play, discover, but use the dash, make it count. I've seen David's words all over social media this weekend. Use your dash. As we get close to entering the third year of this pandemic, the tendency is to think of all that we have lost, all that we have missed, all that the pandemic has put on hold. Sometimes it feels as if we set the pause button on life and walked away. But our dash contains these days too. So let's resolve this year to use our dash better in honor of Noah. Create, take risks, find our meaning and chase after it. Dive into the life that uses our talents, even when it scares us. This is the time that we have been given. Use it wisely and fill up your dash. For Noah. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's beautiful now. All right. This brings us to item number 4 in our agenda tonight, which is the presentation of the Public Library Annual Report. And Ms. Irwin here tonight. Oh, there you are. I forget. It's a new chambers, but I'm still getting used to it after a few months here.
You can imagine that I was over there, but I'm over here. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, the entire City Commission, City Manager Brake, and everybody here in the audience, and I know lots of people are watching online. My name is Sandy Irwin. I am the Director of the Royal Oak Public Library, and I'm going to do a quick presentation of our annual report. I've passed one around to all of our commissioners, and they will be available at the library to pick up tomorrow, and we will also put it online. So just a quick review of our financials. This is based off of the financial audit. You can see that looking at the past couple of years, last year we did use some money from our fund balance to do some remodeling in the library, and you can see that under the capital expenditures. For our activities, clearly COVID has affected everything that the library does. We're down in most areas. Of course, we weren't going to have visitors because we were closed for much of the year. Our programs have all been virtual, which does not reach everybody in our community because not everybody has access to the internet. So you can see that there's a lot of ways that COVID has affected all of the library's activities. We can really call this last year of 2020, 2021 a year in transition. We went from being closed with only curbside services and electronic services to opening up in May of 2021. We did a partial remodel that was completed during the closure where we got some new carpet, some new flooring. Mostly the area that was most remodeled was in the children's area, and we still have some work to do on remodeling in the library. We did develop a grant-funded makerspace, which we haven't been able to use to its fullest extent because of COVID. We've done a lot of robust online programming. Our friends of the library, they moved from having no sales to having sidewalk sales, and they had their first indoor sale this past fall. And we've had a few new board members. Some of the highlights from the last year is that thank you to a generous donation from someone's estate. The Daily Tribune microfilm was digitized and made available, which I know that Judy Davids really likes and many other people have used as well. We developed a library of things. So there's a lot of things that you can check out that maybe you're considering buying for yourself, but you don't really know. You want to test it out first, or you just want to check something out that's a little bit different. So we have a library of things at the library. We started using radio frequency identification, or RFID tags, and that helps with the checkout and check-in of materials. We have yet to use it to its fullest potential. We'll be looking at some future projects with that. We made Chromebooks and Wi-Fi hotspots available for people to check out, which is really important during this pandemic, especially for those who don't have those things at home. We received a $10,000 National Endowment for the Arts matching grant for the makerspace I talked about. We moved from curbside pickup to grab and go, so if you're still nervous about the pandemic, you can still make an appointment with the library, and we'll put your items in a bag for you, and you can stop by and pick those up without even having to come inside the building. We did have a 54% increase in our database use and a 20% increase in our e-material use. So we offer ebooks, e-audiobooks, downloadable movies, comics, a whole variety of different things. Our databases allow you to do research from home, so we had a lot of increase in use of that. So that's one positive thing out of the pandemic. And let's talk about what's coming or what's happening. I'm your new director. I came in September, so that's one change since the end of the last fiscal year. We did convert the lighting in the building to LED, thanks to Julie Lyons-Bricker, who's sitting right over there. We love it too. We are going to start new hours next week. So next week, Tuesday, we are going to be open an hour earlier but closed an hour later during the week on Monday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday will be open earlier but still close at 6 o'clock, and then we'll still be Sundays from 1 to 5 during the school year. But we surveyed the community, and it was an overwhelming response to having the library's hours changed to open earlier in the morning. So we're really excited about that happening. So that is next week, Tuesday. We started a vinyl collection. We've done a lot of participation in the city's events, including Sights and Sounds, the Centennial Celebration, and we'll be working on Aging in Place, which Susan Barkman is overseeing right now. We've created a lot of new connections with the Royal Oak Public Schools and teachers, delivering materials to teachers. Our teen librarians working with the high school to help bring materials there. So we're excited about those connections as well. We will be getting a new canopy on our lovely new terrace and a lighted handrail. That canopy should come this month, and the handrail should be installed in February. We will also have access control in our building so that it makes the building safer for our staff and the public. And that's my presentation. Do you have any questions or comments?
All right, wonderful. Questions for Director Irwin? Commissioner Macy?
Thank you so much, Director Irwin. I just had a little clarification because I think I heard you say we were going to open an hour earlier and close an hour later, but I think you meant open an hour earlier and close an hour earlier.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Except for on Friday and Saturday. We're open an hour earlier, but still closing at 6. So we'll be open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. 9 to 6 Friday and Saturday, 1 to 5 on Sundays. Thank you, Commissioner.
That's all.
Brandon. Commissioner Colo.
Thank you for calling me. I just want to thank you and the library board. I mean, I've said this many times, I'll say this as often as I can. The library has helped this community. It's been a great asset during this pandemic. I mean, the switch that the library board made, the staff, and all the hard work your team put into making sure this community was still served. And I think you've offered better services that have been better than ever. So congratulations to you and the entire team. I think it's noticed in the community. We all appreciate it, and we look forward to the innovations that you have coming up next.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, I'll just echo. I mean, it's been a tough year for everybody, and you guys still remain a shining example of how to pull through, step up to the challenge, and do better. And we see that both in the physical presence of the library, but all the programming and things that you're able to do, creatively during this period, and what you have in store for the next year is pretty great. But also, look, all things considered, I mean, one cool metric in there when you looked at all the visitors that, kind of dropped, obviously. Your transactions, yeah, they dropped, but not so significantly compared to the number of visitors, which means you guys all stepped up to the plate and figured out how to get people the resources, books, media, whatever they needed in the right way. And so we're grateful for that as a community. So thank you.
Thank you. The credit really goes to the library staff. They're a wonderful team to work with. I only came in September, but I know of all the great work that they've done, and that's one of the reasons that I'm here. And really, from the people who shelve the materials all the way to the top, everybody works really, really hard. And thank you so much.
Anything else? Well, thank you and the staff and the board for taking time to prepare the report, and thank you for being here tonight, Director Irwin, to share the information with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Now we have item number 5, which is a city manager update regarding Waterworks Parks as requested by Mayor Fournier, Mayor Pro Tem Macy, and Commissioner Cole.
Okay. Well,
Mr. Bray.
Good evening, Mayor Fournier and members of the City Commission. I want to give you some background information about this park and what's led up to this and where we're going from here. The Waterworks Park was dedicated in 1939 adjacent to the former Waterworks site. The remaining building was used to house the water department employees even after the wells were no longer in service until approximately 1989. The building remained for storage until about 2004 when it was raised. Currently, this site is used for storage of refuse recycling bins, festival special event materials, spare streetlight parts, athletic trailers, and parking blocks. Additionally, this is used as a staging area when there's construction that's going on, having the site that materials can be brought together and moved out to whatever particular site that they're working on. Picnic table construction and maintenance is conducted at this site. And this one is not as frequent, but is important, is that this is an available site for emergency and mitigation staging. So if there was ever a community-wide event where FEMA were need to come in and provide trailers and things like that, this provides an adequate space for staging. So it is a community-wide asset. Recognizing what's been brought to our attention, there are some issues to be aware of and to fully remove all of the activities and really look at an effective redeployment of a new area or within existing space. The removal of the storage that is conducted year-round there would have to look at alternative storage and staging areas. Potentially it was suggested at the DPS current facility. However, with that being said, the aerial photos that were presented to you don't really provide the full context of the available space. So that is something to keep in mind. DPS site would have to be reconfigured, and that would also include building new structures in order to house those materials. So where are we at and where we go from here? So previously, DPS budgeted $50,000 in the CIP budget for screen improvements. as a result of the interaction with the neighbors there. There's been contact that has led up to that there was a meeting that was called by DPS in early December when there was input on the budgeted funds for improvements. Complete removal of the site was preferred by the residents that were intended, and there was about approximately 30 individuals. So next steps, where do we go from here? So in speaking to the director and really what's in the best interest of the community and the neighborhood is that we have the ongoing cleanup and reconfiguration of the site. In fact, a large semi-truck storage trailer has been removed as of mid-December. The department intends to submit a request through the Capital Improvements Program for the upcoming fiscal year. Keep in mind our fiscal year is July 1, so we're talking less than 6 months from now, is to fund a facility space utilization study. So where can we best configure these needs and where are the spacing needs? From there, implement that change and make the improvements. To the site itself would entail removing the fencing and asphalts, place fill materials and seed. So as we look at if the DPS location is not sufficient, then we're looking at acquiring an additional property in order to store all the materials that we have there. So, which is a costlier option. What I suggested to the director and what I wanted to bring up this evening is that this will take some time and effort, but yet communication is the key. And what I would suggest is that we have set up special web pages before, and we could do that in this situation, where at least on a quarterly basis, what is the city doing to clean up the site? What are the steps that are taken? What are the internal memorandums? What are the things that we're discussing? So the neighbors know that there's progress made. Because when you say it'll be completed a year or two, and you're thinking, well, perhaps that's a way of hoping that we forget about it, and that it's not the case, and of holding ourselves accountable to move this forward, to reuse the park and what the residents have asked for. But I wanted to give you a picture of that this has slowly evolved over time, and it's a significant area. In light of weather events, should be a reminder of things that can happen to our community. Let's hope it never, ever happens. But we have to be prepared that if we do need to deploy outside resources, whether it be through the National Guard, through FEMA, space is a consideration, and that's important. And even after removing all of these items, we may still need to have that on a very, very infrequent basis. Let's hope never. But that's something to take into consideration, that as a densely populated area, we don't have the abundance of large areas that we can deploy. So I want to give you a full scope of what we're talking about at the staff level. I've spoken to just only one of the neighbors, but I think this is the beginning of the dialogue where we can work in a partnership to come up with a good solution in a reasonable time frame to keep people informed so they don't think that, well, with all the different projects that we're working on, that this, ends up making its way to the bottom of the pile. It won't. But this is what I wanted to present, and I appreciate the opportunity to listen, to make the case of what we're working with and where we go from here. With that, I would be remiss, let me pause briefly, and if there's anything else that Director Filipski would like to add on top of what I just presented to you right now.
Thank you, Manager Brake. I think you covered the bases quite well on the issues kind of surrounding this. I think we have a good plan moving forward with how we would go about this. I think there's a sentiment that says it's just a bunch of stuff there. Take it out, rip down the fence, throw it at DPS and figure something else. Figure that out later, sort it out, find some corners at the DPS yard. And I'm rather uncomfortable with that for the reasons that you mentioned. And so I think this sort of thoughtful way of going through it, through first a utilization study that would provide us recommendations with how we might reconfigure the DPS yard, bearing in mind safety, bearing in mind all the various seasonal activities that we have going on through that yard. And I'm quite confident that the experts in this will help us find a good solution such that we, A, can store the items that are there currently, have potential capacity should we need it in an emergency, and just move forward with that informed, with that bit of information. And so I'm comfortable with that, and I recognize and appreciate the community's need to wanting updates on that. I think quarterly is a good way to do that. We could update with anything that might be going out to bid or to the city commission, all those various steps to show that there is movement on that. And I'm quite confident that with barring any hangups, that definitely short of 2 years, we can be seeing a different site than what exists there currently. So I look forward to working with continuing to work with the community and the commission on this issue. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Perush.
This isn't really a question, it's just a comment. We had the aerial picture. I think it's on. Oh, no, it was not on. There we go. Sorry about that. We have the aerial photograph of the DPS yard, and there's a lot of empty space in the middle of it, and it's tempting to think, oh, there must be lots of space to put all that other stuff that's on Waterworks land right there, but you really need to go out sometime when they're in the middle of snow plowing and see how the trucks have to maneuver in the yard to get to where the salt dome is and to get filled, and then maneuver around the other trucks that are waiting to get filled as they go out. And they're huge trucks, as we all know. So they need all of that space, that turnaround space. And unless you've seen that operation, you have no idea how much space they need in order to maneuver in that space. And in other times of the year, when they're not doing snow plowing, there's obviously fueling operations. All of the fire trucks, I think, get fueled there. Every other vehicle gets fueled there, and they need maneuvering room. So there is a lot of space, but you need a lot of space because that's what you're doing in terms of moving around the yard. You can't put a lot of stuff in there. So I think the idea of having a space utilization expert is great. It's like hiring, California closets for your storage at home. Somebody who knows what they're doing, can tell you where to put all those boxes. And that's what I think is needed here. But I think it'll be very helpful, it'll be worthwhile. It's something I don't think the city has ever done. You probably will discover stuff hidden away in the corner that you never realized you had, that you don't have to have anymore. And space will become available. But to have somebody independent being able to take a look at it, I think is a really good idea. And I think it's time. That facility's been operational for decades and decades, and it's probably time for a good hard look.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Colo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I had the opportunity to go drive by the park and walk around and kind of experience it. And the north side of the park, there's planning that went into this, and it's beautiful. I mean, the trees, the tall pines do a really nice job at blocking the view of what's behind those fence. The south side doesn't have that luxury. The trees aren't as mature. Yeah.
Not as full at the bottom.
Not as full, yeah, and they're not as close. There's just not as many. So I guess one thing we can do quickly. We can't make trees grow, but I noticed you can see through that easily. If we could unstack some of those carts, I think that might be. Let's look at how the sight lines that we're seeing from the road. So if we could try to clean up that yard a little bit more, I think in the meantime, because it is, I think it's realistic that it's going to take 2 years to figure out how long it's going to, where we're going to put everything, what that site's going to look like, how we use that park in the future if this becomes a green space. It's not just green space, that's a whole new area that we can develop now. This could be more than just a green spot. What is it? It's going to take time. But in the short term, I'm really looking that we could potentially make some quick and easy changes to the yard, to that spot, to make it a little bit more visually appealing.
And just to understand, obviously things take time, and it sounds like the approach that you're recommending is a staged approach where, okay, let's do some cleanup. Let's do a needs assessment as far as what we're using there, which you've kind of done, and then where can we reposition these? But I think ultimately nobody disagrees. Like, hey, if that could just be 100% park, that would be an amazing thing. Like, there's no, I think, at a 10,000-foot level.
Agreed.
It's just what does it take to get there? What does it look like? What does it cost? And those things need to be hammered out in fairness to the other folks in Royal Oak that might be footing some of the bill to do that. The question I have is when we talk about quarterly updates, we're not just talking about, hey, here's what we did. Are we setting goals each quarter? Like, here's what we can expect. We're going to do the study in this quarter, and then we're going to report out to you in 2 months what that study looked like. And then that means that, we're going to go through a budget process for the next month, and we'll report out to you what that looks like. And then from there, there's, hey, now this is our physical, transition plan. We're going to move stuff out. We're going to start with this. This other site will be ready. But there will be, what I'm trying to articulate or highlight or represent is, it's not just hey, we'll keep you posted every quarter. Your intent is to have a list of goals, the things that, whether they're study or whether they're concrete, probably study in the beginning, more concrete towards the end, and put those on the line and then communicate and engage the public. We may come into issues where like, hey, we discovered a major issue. Let's talk about it as a neighborhood, as a community, and as, an operating function, and try to work through those issues when we find them. Is that my understanding? That was a very long question.
Yes, and that's how...
It wasn't in order. It was just a question mark at the end.
Yeah, that's how I envision making those communications. And there's some very obvious milestones within this. I mean, we've laid out kind of a preliminary map on this. First update might be when the budget's approved, to say, look, we put these items in here and it's approved. Thereafter, it would be post-July when we put out a request for proposals for firms that could do that sort of thing. And I think naturally that amounts to close to quarterly, if not quarterly.
Yeah, and I think that process has to take a little time to play out because of the FEMA issues.
Yes.
And public safety issues, but they're not insurmountable. They're
Yeah.
not a decade,
Yeah.
but just like
Right.
it was a building there, and we had wells there in the past, the building was raised, and now we're in second phase of looking at it, I guess, second generation.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions of Commissioner Macy?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on what Mr. Politsky was saying just now. So you're saying that about the budget and about July, but there is some money in this year's budget already to get some work done to improve the look of it already. And there's some work already being done to get some of the things that are there and are sort of eyesores out, right? Like there's some things happening even before that.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
We do have money. I wanted to sort of wait and see what the sort of mood was, which direction we were going to go before we actually went and spent some money on some things. But knowing this direction, we can wisely deploy those resources to make some shorter term improvements, absolutely.
Anybody else? Okay, so we have a report / commitment. When would be the first sort of kind of...
First milestone would be the approved budget, and then the big one after that would be moving forward with the utilization study, which we could do July 2nd.
I could be done July 2nd or commence July 2nd?
No, we can put it out to bid July 2nd, or we could award it no sooner than then, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, to add to that, for communication purposes, I would say by the end of the first quarter of this year, of having that site up and to say the definition of the problem and anticipation. Because we're operating now, the shifts that I take with the departments right now is really identifying, looking at a matrix of 90 days out. What are next steps? Because that's the natural question that anyone will ask. So we can define that to say that here's the budget process and this is the time frame that we anticipate. Upon the acceptance of the budget, and then immediately comes the issuance of the request for qualifications or proposals. So at least you can see, what, all right, you said that, but now what? So.
And as a government entity, we have to follow a certain cadence and process that may not be as familiar with a lot of folks. We can't just go out and pull the trigger on things. We have to do certain steps to not get sued and to ensure we're living by our charter, which slows things down, Can't fight City Hall, and what is it they say about the timing of government? Sometimes those things are true, but in this case, it's, ultimately, those things take a little bit of time. But once you get that initial stuff done and you get that space utilization study done, then it's, I imagine the pins start coming down pretty quick because you know exactly what you can do, what you need to do, and hopefully if not anything, you're good to go. But if there's some straggling issues to be resolved, you can laser focus tackle those. Okay. Alrighty, so we'll see this here at the commission though. We'll see those requirements, and we'll see those, that request to go out for bid and all of that stuff. We can expect to come up here, right? So
That's right.
it's part of the record.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? Well, we appreciate that update. I didn't even know some of the history out there, Mr. Brake, so thank you for going deep into that. I'm sure.
Extend that to Mr. Flipsky.
Oh, Mr. Filipski. All right. Got a part-time job as a historian, too. That's pretty good. All right, perfect. Anything else from your end?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Thank
All
you
right,
again.
thank you, gentlemen. All right, this brings us to item 6, which is the approval of the agenda. I ask that whoever moves forward with the approval of the agenda add an additional item to the agenda for our discussion in closed session. Commissioner Perush.
I will so move with the additional item
Additional item.
discussed in closed session.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Perush. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Dubuck. All righty. Any discussion? City Attorney, are we good in the motion?
I think you should be just a little bit more specific. Oh, I'm not used to pressing this.
Yeah, that was my hesitation.
A little bit more specific about the nature of the addition to the agenda.
So this was the council's recommendation regarding the settlement for Artesian Properties and Belmore Land Co. Inc.
Yes,
Oakland County Circuit Court case number 2021-189704.
yes.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we have clarity on the motion. All right, no discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. We have an agenda. That brings us to public comment, number 7. Before we start, just real quick on the rules for those of you who might be new here. We do value and rely on your input from our fellow citizens to help make decisions. Ergo, some of the information we just had from the city manager and director of DPS about an issue that came to us at public comment. We're getting some traction on it. But now's the time set aside for the public to address the city commission on any city-related issues, whether they're on the agenda or not. I ask that comments be directed to the city commission as a whole and not to individual commissioners. In addition to public comment, there are 2 public hearings at tonight's meeting. If you're here to comment on Dexter Hospitality Holdings, request for approval plan of operation, entertainment, and dance permits. The request from North End Tap Room to approve their plan of operation and entertainment permit, you may wait until public hearings are opened and you can comment at that time. If you wish to speak tonight at public comment or at the public hearings, please wait until recognized by me, the mayor. Come up to the podium. For the record, we ask that you state your name and address. Please be mindful that we wish to hear from anyone who wants to speak tonight, so comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and there's a timer at the podium to help you keep track of your time. If you don't wish to speak tonight, no problem. Email is a good way to get a hold of us. Please note that we typically don't respond directly to questions during public comment. However, we're taking notes, and when your issue comes up, we will ask those questions on your behalf. And if it's not something on the agenda, the city manager takes it back and refers it to the right department and bird dogs those questions and gets answers as best as possible. So with that, who's first? Okay, this gentleman's first. All right.
How you doing? Stephen Phipps, 503 Lloyd. I just wanted to comment on some of the things you guys said regarding the report. I mean, Pat, you mentioned the semi-trucks, backing around and they need a big area. Those semi-trucks are in my front yard, backing on our lawn and on the park and things like that. So I get what you're saying. They need area, but the park is not that area, the residential street is not a place for semi trucks to be parking and moving around and stuff like that. And Paul, the way you said about the park being an emergency zone, just because we tear down the fence and get rid of the garbage that's in there doesn't mean it's no longer available as an emergency space, right? So I live directly across from the park. I mean, this thing enrages me at times because of the different things that happens, and I'll just tell you a story. Just a couple days, maybe like a week or so before Christmas, you know, it was about 11 o'clock, and I'm standing in my garage, and I can hear machinery running inside the storage area, right? So eventually, after an hour or so, I get the flashlight, and I go over there to see what's going on in the area with the machinery running, and it ends up that there's a semi-truck. It's in the area. You know, I assume someone's sleeping in the cab of the truck, right? So go back to the house, right, and I go out at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the truck is still there. So, I mean, basically, it was a rest stop that night. You know, I mean, this is just one of, there's something like this all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how horrible it is to live in this area and how embarrassing it is for people to come by and see the garbage dump, like, in the neighborhood. You guys have to go there. I appreciate, Brandon, that you said you went there and looked at it. I mean, I don't think you would want that in front of your house or anybody else. I mean, I brought pictures again, and I'll keep bringing them all the time, and I'll try to get some better pictures, but these are the ones that I have, and I'm going to pass them around so you guys can see, but it's just, I mean, it seems like such an obvious thing to me, and I appreciate that you want to do something, but I mean, 2 years to do a space utilization, and I mean, with no directive or no end date, I mean, doesn't seem reasonable. I mean, if you tell me it's going to take a year to get it out of there, that's fine. I mean, I love the interaction and the weekly updates and that kind of stuff, but I mean, really, we just want to know that it's going to be gone and when it's going to be gone, you know? I'll definitely participate as much as I can. I mean, I work in the automotive industry. We do space utilizations. It takes a week, and really, it's just common sense. And a guy walking around like any one of you saying, let's move this here, you don't need to pay somebody a bunch of money to do a space utilization of your yard. I mean, I could do that for you. Any of you can do that. It shouldn't take 6 months to wait for some budget. How much money do we need? How much does it cost? I mean, and I guess if I'm going to be here every week or every other week, I guess I want to put it on the agenda every meeting that we have an update on what's happening instead of a website, you know? Let's do this. I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, I want to know why you guys can't move it. I mean, I want to help. I want to do whatever. I just need this thing gone. It's horrible to live here with this thing here. I mean, please visit it if you have not visited it yet, because it'll say a million words. You would not live by this. There's a lot of people that straight up won't buy these homes because that thing's there. Thank you. I hope you do the right thing.
All right, who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Allison Roloffs. I reside at 602 Magnolia Avenue. I live on the north side of Waterworks Park. I stare directly at the park. I am in full support of the complete removal of the storage area in the middle of the park. My reasons for removal are safety. We've seen, in the 3 years that we've lived at this property, we've seen people jump the fence. They've, explore inside the storage area, which we don't see as safe. When we brought that up in our community meeting, where there was over 30 of us neighborhood members there, more than probably at this meeting here tonight, everyone seemed to be in support, and the comments we got from Aaron were, oh, we'll put up no trespassing signs. If that's not something that tells you this doesn't belong in the middle of our neighborhood, no trespassing signs, I don't know what does. So that would be our main reason for wanting it gone. Your comments about the FEMA, I don't know that that's necessarily a viable solution. Yet the whole park would be available for use in a natural disaster situation where FEMA trucks would be rolling in. It wouldn't be the small space that's, enclosed by the fence. I think that's less than an acre. Is it 0.75 acres? So it's a very small area that we're talking about. So again, we would be in complete and full support of removal of the space. We understand what big jobs it takes to get all of these things done, but you've got our complete support. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. All right. Yes, sir, here in the front.
Kevin Sutherland, 622 Magnolia. I live on the north side, and I can only say I've been in Roy Oak for 38 years now. And we knew the park was there, and we were very happy about it when we first moved. There was just a historic waterworks building, 2 trailers, I think from some football teams, or some schools, and that was it. And I know if you move near an airport, you already know that the airport's going to be there forever. You move next to a railroad track, it's going to be there. But when I moved here, I assumed eventually they would do something about that area in the middle, because everything else is soccer fields, tennis courts, playgrounds. And right in the middle of the neighborhood is this storage area. I just assumed, but what happened was the building was taken down, as you said, Mr. Blake, and I appreciate that, it's true. And the building didn't look bad, but it was old, historic. And I think the neighbors wanted it down. That's what happened, and they took it down. But after that, for the last 10 years, it's become now a storage area. Every year it got worse. 2 years ago, there were 3 semis, not 1, 3 semis parked there for many, many days or weeks. You know, when we had our meeting just 2 months ago outside, there were 2 huge semis there. There is still 1 semi there, or some kind of a huge trailer. It's a semi, yellow, whatever that thing is, unless it was just moved. It was there this morning. Anyway, and there's a lot of trailers. I know there's the new recycling bins, the new trash cans, so you have hundreds of those in one corner. I understand. But something should be done, because it has become, the last couple of years, an actual storage area where anybody comes over there and dumps things. We had how many, what do you call it? Stands, athletic stands, wooden stands, huge ones, moved there. They were sitting there for several years, just sitting in there. Did nothing, just terrible. People just seem to walk in there, drive in after they open the gates and dump something and then leave. I hope something will happen, that's all I ask. And I said enough, 25 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sala. All right, who's next? I think this gentleman right here.
Hi, good evening. Pete Lewis. I live at 421 Potawatomi. I echo all of my neighbors' comments as well. Our friend Steve here, he's gone around the neighborhood. I think he's got 75 signatures echoing most of all our thoughts here. All you have to do is drive by there. Royal Oak, our parks are our emerald. That's our jewel, right? We're building a new one at the new, what's that area up there on, off of, not Webster, but Normandy, where Normandy Oaks. You have the ribbon cutting ceremony. You sure wouldn't have this sitting in the background of that place, would you? It's just not acceptable. The homeowners, our land, our values, you bring somebody over and you're like, this is Royal Oak? These are the parks? I got more faith in us, guys. It can't take us 2 years. It can't. Look at the pictures. There's nothing in there. There's nothing to do. FEMA, no, not a good excuse. We'll open the whole park to FEMA. Keep the power there. No problem. We're all here as a community to help, and the money we spend on the playground there, go by there, guys, even in the winter. Kids are out there having a ball. It's a great place to be. Then you turn and you look at what my 2 poor neighbors have to look at all the time. It's absurd for our city. It's absurd. Our parks are our jewels. Let's keep them that way. Let's get them back in shape. Thanks. I'm looking forward to seeing how we can do to help and how you guys can help us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who's next? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jim Goldstein. I live at 432 South Washington, the 5th, and I'm here to comment on the application for Dexter Hospitalities to open up a Sunday sales permit, dance entertainment, outdoor services permit, and we moved here into that wonderful building in the wonderful downtown, looking forward to a really mellow experience with all the wonderful things about Royal Oak, which we love, and assumed it would be a relatively peaceful, civilized place to enjoy our lives. And the building has a lot of 70 units, probably over 100, close to 150 people, a lot of hardworking people who like to live a quiet life. And there's certainly entertainment, which is great, and restaurants, which are great. And when we moved in, unknowingly, this same area had an outdoor facility, and they blasted music on the weekends. You couldn't open your windows, even with the windows closed. The music blasted right up because that venue is right below where we are. It comes right up. A lot of rowdiness going on till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning for hardworking people. It was very difficult, and I suspect that our police department, who I love, has records of people making complaints in the prior establishment, which has been gone for a couple of years and brought peace to our area. And now apparently they want to open up another facility with outdoor dining. That's fine. And music, which is fine. But my view is that I respect a business's right to have entertainment and dancing and food and liquor, all the better, create revenue for the city, fabulous. But they should keep it inside. And people should be able to go inside and enjoy the food and the liquor and the music and the dancing, but people who don't want to be exposed to it should not have to hear it. And so I would hope that the individuals involved with making this decision would take into account that there are residential people living right on top of that, and just a block away, that whole area is residential. And when the music blasts, as you all know, if you walk down through downtown Royal Oak for the few establishments which unfortunately do blast it, it's not pleasant. You can hardly hear yourself talk walking down the street from some of the bars, and I would hope that we could have less noise pollution and make it a much more palatable environment for everybody. So let people have music, keep it indoors so that those who want to enjoy it can enjoy it indoors, and those who want peace and quiet can enjoy their peace and quiet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, anybody else wish to speak at public comment tonight? Yes, in the back, Ms. Wayman.
Can I make a quick statement that doesn't count towards my time about the library?
I'll give you 10 extra seconds if it's a positive statement about
It's a positive.
beloved library.
I remember when the library opened. I was in school at the time, and what has happened now is this is not your grandmother's library anymore. This is phenomenal, all that they do and all that they offer. And it being so much a part of the community, and I look forward to what they plan on doing for the Royal Oak Aging in Place Task Force and integrating with that. So that was my 10 seconds. So tonight, I wanted to talk about the cancellation of the second meeting in December. According to our city charter, you are to hold at least 2 meetings per month. According to the meeting rules of procedure, you are allowed to cancel a meeting for, quote, good cause. The original intention was for severe weather, power outage, and no business. I strongly object to adding nothing urgent as a good cause to cancel the meeting. Maybe a resident or business had something to present. Maybe they believed their comments to be urgent. By canceling for what was not a good cause, you denied them the right to address the commission. Having a meeting, just because it's in the charter, does make sense. Speaking of the charter and ordinances, even though your oath of office only includes supporting the Constitution of the United States and the state of Michigan, as one commissioner stated, abiding by the duties of your office includes obeying the city charter and city ordinances. To me, that includes zoning ordinances that prohibit having a business in your home and invite customers to visit, and recusing yourself from litigation, discussions, and votes when you are a party to that litigation, and modifying the park ordinance after you had already violated it, and exceeding our city charter debt limit by defaulting to state limits. Same for the number of dogs allowed before you must be in a properly zoned kennel area. What could have been the part of the December meeting that was canceled? Marijuana. Who won, and where are those businesses going to be located? It shouldn't be a secret. since they will be going before the Planning Commission meeting in February. ARPA funds. Other than giving some of the funds to Arts, Beats, and Eats and a special bonus to some unnamed city employees, what is the status? In June of 2021, you authorized a payment of over $400,000 to Guidehouse that should have included external meetings with the public and community stakeholders. Guidehouse was chosen without going to bid because they could hit the ground running due to their work with existing clients. It's been almost 7 months, and the public still has not been included. What is the status? Also, since you've canceled the 2022-23 strategic planning meeting, a report on the status of last year's established goals and objectives could have been included. None of this was urgent, but definitely it is the business of the city that the residents deserve to know. Further missing from tonight's agenda, I was expecting to see the rushed Wits Winter Blast contract that was supposed to be brought back before this commission explaining the money disbursement. And finally, there's nothing on here regarding seniors. You need to establish a contact list now, not wait until October or later for the Senior Task Force on Aging to tell you that you need to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wyman. All right, who's next? Yes, sir, in the back.
Good evening. My name is Paul Bateman. I'm at 914 Lloyd. I've been at that residence since, 1990, so 31 years now. I've raised 3 adult boys who loved the park, and as a parent, I knew what was going on down there, right? Every other parent in that neighborhood knew what was going on down there. Kids found a way into that area. And back then, like somebody said earlier, it was a couple of trailers, right? And that was it, right? So, yeah, they were back there, they were playing, they were having fun. I go by there now, there's no way I would want my children to be in that area. And they do, they sneak in there. It's not hard. It's dangerous. There's just, it's unsafe. So that's one thing. It's unsafe, and let's not wait for something to happen. Let's not do this study. I mean, I take it you're with DPS. I take it this gentleman's with Department of Public Works. Okay? They have very talented engineers in that organization. I happen to have some neighbors. They can figure it out. As far as finding areas, I know there were times in the past where we used to use the top of the parking decks for the postal service, right? That may be an area to put some of this stuff. I was reminded, I reminisced a little bit actually. I was raised in a 900 square foot home over here on Rembrandt. 4 kids, 2 parents. Not a lot of room. So we had this thing called the junk drawer. I don't know if you've all had one of these, but you'd, throw rubber bands, you'd, throw thumbtacks, all this stuff, and then a couple of months would go by and Mom would say, this is crazy, we can't have all this junk in here, and she'd take and flip it over and straighten it out again. Let's start with that. Let's go in there, dump that thing out, get rid of the junk, right, because there's junk in there. Figure out where we're going to put the rest of it. I really don't think we need a study. We have very talented engineers in our DPSW that can take care of it. So let's just do it. Let's get it done before somebody gets hurt. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, who's next? Yes, in the back.
Hello, everyone. Jeff Ponatowski, I live on 406 Aqua Court. And just to kind of reiterate some of the comments that were just made, I have a 6-year-old son, lives in the area of the park. And the wooded area around the park is the woods. So little kids tend to walk in and out of that area all the time. And a lot of times when we have soccer games going on, where parents that aren't familiar with the area come over, they let their kids go to the park. And the kids go along the area and they go inside, and it's pretty messy in there. There's broken glass. There's a lot of things that can get you hurt with. So keep that in mind too. I know the studies are going to take a while and everything, but in the meantime, know that there are people getting in there, kids are getting in there. It's dangerous for them. We definitely don't want to have any sort of legal action, especially because that is a city area that we're not really keeping clean right now. So just kind of want to reiterate that for everyone.
Thank you, sir. All right, anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Sir, it's just one public comment person.
20 seconds. Just want to make a correction. Just a correction, please.
I'll give you 10.
Yeah.
No, because that way I don't have to call for a vote. Before they call me out on allowing it, I'll give you real quick.
I just want to say Commissioner Prush was talking about the DPS yard to move the trucks around. Correct?
Yes.
The salt trucks, it was not in our park.
Right.
And my last thing was, real quick, I think somebody took a survey, 0.77% of an acre, that property, which is like three homeowners' yards. It's not huge. It's not huge. So, and the area, the stuff, they took a survey of the stuff that was in there, and it was 0.23 of an acre, which is one backyard, one homeowner's yard. So it's not a big area. Just wanted you to be aware of that.
No, we understand that, Mr.
Thank you.
Secretary.
I'm out of here.
I just worry that they get on me for protocol here, and
I'm sorry.
I know there's someone here tonight watching that's going to say, "Hey, remember when you let Mr. Sutherland get up there?" So, but I appreciate you being brief. So I'm going to bring the meeting back up to this side of the table, real quick. For the folks, we appreciate it, and we got on it. The first I was really made aware of it. I don't recall seeing any emails. I apologize if you sent me emails because sometimes they get bounced back. We got. There's spam blockers and all that. And I think we asked for a plan of action, understand more from staff. They put something forward. I think in the short term, Mr. Filipski, we're going to do some cleanup and we're going to, take care of the low-hanging fruit. But I think some of this stuff with the long-term regular activities, we have to be smart about it because, we're not just a business. We can't just go out there and frankly speaking, we do have a lot of smart and talented people, but we have a lot less employees than we did 10 years ago. And so, right now they're focused on keeping our roads clear, keeping them salted and doing what they can do there. And so it's, communities have not rebounded like businesses have in this economy. So we're still, scarce. So we do have to outsource some stuff from time to time to make sure we don't get sued and we don't collapse our entire operation. Commissioner Colo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just after all this public comment, if I could ask Mr. Filipski, can you clarify about semi-trucks in the neighborhood? Are they parking there? How long they stay? Are there cabs staying overnight? And if so, how can we end that?
The only report, if it was related to the firm that was delivering carts, that was never part of what they agreed to do. I certainly would have advised the police department to go over and have a talking with them had I been aware of it. I was only made aware of that situation that following week. I want to say it was a Monday or something. And at that point, it was already, the driver had left. I don't know if there was actually a driver in it, or if they were just left it idling there because of temperatures. I'm not sure. But that definitely wasn't allowed. I didn't permit that, and I would have put a kibosh to it had I known while it was occurring. Like I said, I learned after the fact, so there really wasn't anything I could do, but we didn't permit that by practice, no.
And Chief Moore, just a clarification on that, it's not legal to park in neighborhoods in your semi-truck. So if you guys call the cops, maybe not 911, but, non-emergency number, we'll get somebody out there.
Absolutely.
Chief Moore?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there, and you guys push us. You know what I mean? We got to move at diligent, public service speed, and, we're willing to, stretch the envelope a little bit, but, let's have our ideas on the table, and if you want to challenge something, please challenge it. We're willing to have that conversation because we're smarter and better with your help. So we're here to serve. There's no reason why we're not a business. It's not greedy for us to have that there. There are reasons. There are reasons not to have it there, so we need your help. Okay? All right. Well, that brings us to item number 8, which is the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull anything off the consent agenda for further discussion? I see Commissioner Douglas.
Oh, yeah, Mayor, I want to pull item M, the last item, item V under M,
Okay. V, anybody else? Commissioner Dubak?
I'd like to pull item MI, or 1.
So MI and MV, anybody else? Okay, the consent agenda consists of City Commission meeting minutes from December 6th, claims the 14th, 17th, and 17th special pay of December, and the 28th and 30th and 21st. Approval of purchase orders, declaration of disposable surplus property, acceptance of retirement system pension actuarial evaluation June 30th, 2021 report, approval of Grant Park lease renewal, confirmation of settlement, participation opioid distributors and manufacturers, settlement agreements, public library request to fill vacancy, public library request to create and fill 2 new positions, approval of purchase of tow behind emergency generator, approval of commission for the Arts Art Explored agreements, resolution to authorize Oakland County Parks grant program application for Royal Oak Arboretum Trail project, and receive and file non-action items, which will be the 2021 fourth quarter training evaluation forms, Government Accounting Services Standards Board statements, and Government Accounting Standards Board statements number 7475, accounting and financial reporting and post-employment benefits other than the pension June 30th, 2021. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? We have a motion by Commissioner Cole, second by Commissioner Dubak. Discussion on the consent. Commissioner Cole?
I just want to quickly say there's a lot of great staff work inside these reports, including the grants that we received and the opiate settlement. I mean, there's a lot of money coming into the city, so I want to thank the staff that all worked on that, because it's a huge benefit to this community. So thank you.
Found money is always good money. Thank you, Judy. All right. With that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That leaves us 2 remaining items from the consent agenda. Start in order. 2021 Sustainability Stakeholder Survey Summary. Commissioner Dubak.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just pulled this because I think it's a really important step that we've taken as we pursue our climate action plan, and just kind of wanted to check in with staff on this survey and get some of the top line data points that have come from it, how that's going to inform our plan, and basically where we are at in this process. I think it's a priority for the community, and so I just wanted to give shed a little bit of light on where we're at here. So, Mr. Brake, I don't know if I would start with you.
Yeah, happy to begin that discussion. I think it's important to back up and talk about what's led up to this. So, going back to July of 2020, the Commission approved a climate emergency resolution. And based on that, gave the directive of staff to come up with a climate action plan. And the staff has been working diligently, and I'll introduce Julie Lyons-Bricker, who's been working very hard on this endeavor. Out of this has come the Sustainability and Climate Action Plan, or SCAP, that has been a culmination of the city staff and environmental advisory boards and community members that have been working on this. So I'll talk a little bit about the survey, but then I'll toss it over to Ms. Lyons-Bricker to give you the rest of the information. So a survey instrument was compiled hoping for modest input, and we received very strong input. And some of the highlights that came out of that is that 3/4 of those respondents indicated that climate change is a matter of urgency. Contrast to 1/4 that did not see that as a problem. The 3 top motivators of the individuals that fill out the surveys indicated climate change at 74%, preserving what we have for future generations at 62%, and waste management at 62%. And there were many other takeaways, and then the next logical question is, we have all this valuable information, what are we going to do with it? So with that, I'd like to defer to our sustainability manager to talk a little bit more about the findings and talk about next steps.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Fournier and the City Commission. Happy to be here to talk a little bit about where we are. The stakeholder survey was just one piece of the community engagement that we have been working on for the sustainability efforts. And like Manager Brake mentioned, we had a great number of people who took this survey. Just to give a shout out to all of you, there were 452 people who took this survey, and it was 32 questions long, about 30 minutes for each person. So we really appreciate the time and have collected a whole lot of interesting and helpful feedback. So again, this is just one piece. We also went to the farmers market for pop-up tables and took community feedback there, and then moved forward with work groups around our 6 focus topics. And those work groups each met 4 times. So that's a total of 24 stakeholder feedback meetings. So again, we've had a lot of community engagement. We have a lot of data, and what we're doing right now is synthesizing all of that data, all of the priorities that the work groups moved the actions toward, and we expect to bring a sustainability and climate action draft plan to the Commission at the end of this first quarter or the beginning of the second quarter. So we're on track for that kind of a schedule, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have specifics. And we're looking forward to bringing you that plan and moving forward on implementation.
Any questions for Ms. Lyons-Berger?
I don't have any specific questions. I've gone through this. I think it's some great information. It's really going to help inform our plan. I just want to say thank you to you and the task force, Environmental Advisory Board, for really leading the charge on this. I'm really happy to see staff putting your shoulder into this, and that we're going to have some product to consider at the end of this quarter. So I'm excited to do everything I can do to help move this forward, and I just wanted to shed some light on this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and I appreciate you mentioning all of the other actors and players in this, because it certainly isn't just me or our office. We have the Royal Oak Environmental Advisory Board, which is residents who are appointed by the Commission to take on tasks like this, and then all of the residents and business owners who participated as stakeholders. That has been a great help. So it takes a village. So thank you.
Great work. Thank you. It's not talk, it's work. And I think you've done a good job from the city's point of view, leading it up, Ms. Lyons-Berger. But like you said, it's not just the city putting out survey. I mean, this is, if you look and see the groups that are broken out, the topics that we're tackling, the detail of discussions and what's planned and where we touch it. I mean, this is, a really good framework, not just to get what we need to get done, but I would even say a good framework for other communities to hopefully mimic and copy, because we got to lead the way, and we got to convince others to follow as well. So we're doing a bang-up job, hopefully, at the end of this.
Indeed. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion to file and receive this one? A motion by Commissioner Dubak, second by Commissioner Colo. Discussion on it. All right. With none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, that brings us to the last item of the consent agenda, which is the Historic District Commission findings request to remove historic designation Herman's Bakery. Commissioner Douglas.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Royal Oak has 11 historically designated properties. The most recent one being approved by the City Commission was the Farmers Market here quite recently. The process by which a property is designated is driven by state law, which says what qualities, what qualifications qualify a business or a building or a neighborhood for historic designation. And it's a very onerous process. We have a very active Historic District Study Committee that does extensive research, architectural research, historical research, social research, before recommending that a property be designated as historic. And they did follow that process in choosing Herman's Bakery, which is an institution beloved by Royal Oakers over the generations. They concluded that the only way that a property can be undesignated is if that the process was flawed. And the Historic District Study Committee concluded that their process was not flawed, and that the property was suitably designated. being a historic property, and property owners have to consent to designation and in fact seek it. This does create an obligation on the part of a property owner as compared to non-designated properties, which private property owners can sell for the highest value in the open market. But being historically designated also benefits the property owner and the community. Studies over generations have shown that historic neighborhoods hold their value better than non-designated neighborhoods, that there is a benefit to the people who live there. But more important, there is a benefit to the people of the community. That's the purpose for historic designation. And again, Herman's was a beloved institution in our city for generations, and the way it looks and the story behind it are part of our blood. And I'm very glad that the Historic District Study Commission did take the action or chose to do their job and not remove the historic designation for this property. And with that, I would move approval of this agenda item.
A motion by Commissioner Douglas. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Macy. All right, discussion on the item? All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes. All right. This brings us to item 9, which is the approval of appointments committee recommendations. All right, who chaired? Commissioner Perush. You got the designation of chair of the appointments committee?
Yes.
Unofficially?
Yes, I arrived and it was there. Yes, it was a 3-person committee, as you know. It was Commissioner Dubuck and Commissioner Hunt and myself. And as most of you know, when we're dealing with this particular issue at the end of the year, there's not only a number of vacancies potentially to consider, but also reappointments, because the terms of almost every single person who's been appointed to a committee ends in December some year, December 31st. And so always there are reappointments to handle for people who are interested in serving another term, and another term is available to them, as well as some vacancies for people who are termed out. So there's always a number of vacancies and reappointments to consider, which is why the list that's in front of you tonight is so lengthy. One thing that I noticed in terms of doing it this year was that there are, at least to my view, fewer applications in the bin to choose from. It's hard to say why that is right now. It's kind of a cyclical thing, but my guess is that people are a little overall burned out and stressed out and have so many things going on, and they're juggling so many things that the idea of volunteering for yet another board is probably not in their wheelhouse right now. So hopefully, as this pandemic winds down and we kind of get back to normal in the middle of the year, we'll see the level of applications bump back up. There certainly were more than enough really qualified people to fill the vacancies that we had. But I noticed overall, in terms of overall numbers, it's down. So hopefully that will pick back up. There were not as many vacancies to fill as, at least my recollection, as in prior years. And so you have a list in front of you of the vacancies for people whose terms will be brand new. It's a vacant term, and so most of their terms, unless they are filling the spot of someone who resigned, which is the case in 2 of these instances, it will be for the full term as spelled out in the ordinance. The other thing that I'll talk about when we get down to it is the reappointments for people who have already been termed out but would like to be continued, and there is good reason to continue them on those various committees. So unless anybody has any individual questions, what I'm going to do is take these 3 resolutions separately. The first resolution is to have the City Commission approve the following vacancies: to Brenda Firestein to the Board of Review, Edward Melpham to the Crime Prevention Council, Eric Romaine to the Historic District Study Committee, Vincent Brown to the Parks Rec Senior Services Advisory Board, Mark Van Ness to the Rehab Board of Appeals, and Paul Weil to the Traffic Committee.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Perush. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Kolo. All right, discussion on these appointments. All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right.
Okay, the next resolution are approval of the following reappointments. And these are people who have served on these boards very successfully and they want to continue to serve. It's a fairly lengthy list. I won't read it. There are many people who are familiar to all of us, to a number of boards. So I will make a motion that we approve the following reappointments to the list of boards and committees that are in front of us.
Motion by Commissioner Perush. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Douglas. Discussion. All right, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes.
Okay, and that brings us down to the last one, the resolution to approve the reappointments, recognizing that all 4 of these people are term limited, but that they have special expertise and experience that we think is important for them to be able to continue on these boards and committees. And I can describe all 4 of them for you. Eldon Danielson, reappointed to the Board of Review. Eldon Danielson is a former city engineer. He was city engineer during my former term with the city of Royal Oak. He was an excellent, excellent city engineer, and has been on the Board of Review now for the full terms. The Board of Review members, because they deal with property tax issues, have to undertake a great deal of training before they can actually sit on the Board of Review. That's required by state law. And it's very technical, a property tax evaluation type work. It takes some special expertise and it takes some years of experience to build up enough experience with the actual review process in order to be able to do it well. Mr. Danielson has done that. Our Board of Review is an excellent Board of Review. And we think given his special expertise and his willingness to serve again for another term, we should have him reappointed. Let's see, who's next? Thomas Donaldson, Historic District Study Committee. This was a committee that Ruth Cleveland was very active in and had years and years and years of experience and leadership on that committee. And as most of you know, she had to resign those positions on the Historic District Study Committees and others related to historical purposes for personal reasons this year. But Thomas Donaldson has been on this study committee for years and has worked very, very closely with this group of people. This is a group of people, this committee, that works not just meeting once a month. They actually have to go out and visit sites. They have to do research. They have to do a lot of homework type work aside from the monthly meetings in order to actually accomplish the goals of the committee. And Thomas Donaldson has stepped up and taken the role that Ruth Cleveland was handling when she was on the committee. She's very excited. She's very active in terms of her understanding of the historic issues and the state laws, as well as the local situation here in Royal Oak. So we think, given her special expertise, she should be reappointed to this committee. Third is Ron George on the Charter Review Committee. Mr. George has been on that review committee for 2 terms now. I served on that committee briefly and served with him. He's extremely knowledgeable about the charter. I don't think he's necessarily memorized it word for word, but if anybody in this community has gotten close to that, it's him. And he understands it. He understands its strengths, its many weaknesses that we still have, and is very interested in seeing that the charter review process and revision process move forward in a thoughtful manner. And he has special expertise in that area, just given his experience. So we think it's appropriate that he be reappointed. And then the last person is Tom Regan, the Environmental Advisory Board. Tom has been very, very active in our sustainability program and is very, very interested in seeing that it be completed and in seeing it through. He's been very active in it. This is one committee where there were a huge number of applications. And interestingly enough, I think that probably just about every environmental engineer in Southeast Michigan now lives in Royal Oak. And they applied for this board. So we had extraordinarily talented applications for this board. Unfortunately, there aren't any other vacancies. But I mean, there will be, and they will get appointed at some point in time. But in the meantime, we think that Tom Regan really deserves to continue on this to see the sustainability project finished. So it's our recommendation that he be reappointed. So, given all of that, I will make the resolution that we approve the following reappointments, recognizing that they're currently term limited. However, the special expertise and experience required for these boards and committees make it inherent that they remain in place.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Prue, second by Commissioner Dubois. All right, discussion. Commissioner Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say how grateful I am for these four who have turned out, who have done their time, who have provided their time, their skill, their talents to our city, and then continue on to do more. Like these four, along with those that are being appointed and reappointed, they're taking the time out of their day to serve the city. They're now leaving their homes to come to meetings to serve our city. So I'm grateful for them and what they're doing, and will support this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunt. I'll just echo, Commissioner Perush makes a convincing case on this specific motion, but also for the ones that are, willing to be reappointed, and for the newcomers. I think it's tough, especially some of the younger folks that have job demands, family demands, all the things that are going on in life. And we see that some of the applications are becoming, you have your peaks and valleys, but let's be honest, today's world of divisiveness, where you got people with pitchforks and torches storming the halls of City Hall and, school board rooms and you name it. It's, I don't blame people for wanting to sit a couple years out, but to make and put their name out there and willing to put their ideas out there and be judged on their ideas. In the end, to be a value contributor to the progress of this community really means a lot, I think, to all of us as citizens, let alone the folks up here that have the privilege of serving everyone in the capacity that we do. So thank you to everybody who applied out there, and thank you to everyone who's willing to step up and serve. It's not an easy time to do it, but this too shall pass. This too shall pass, and we'll be, in a better place. I'm confident of it. So with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. The motion passes. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, sir. Just now that we've finished this one, the next appointments committee will meet relatively soonish as we start the next round of this. Before we start that, maybe we can put out as a city, try to advertise for applications a little bit. Maybe use our social media channels, our email blast, the Insight magazine. I know, having done a couple rotations now, that the list is a lot of the same names that we've seen. A lot of the applications are old, so maybe we can try to reach out a little to try to retain some new information there.
Yeah, I'm seeing a head nod.
I see a lot of heads, yeah.
From the heartbeat of Royal Oak's engagement.
Judy, I wasn't going to ask you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's good practice. I think we can do that. You guys don't need a motion for that, do you?
No.
Okay, good. Thank you, Commissioner. All right. That brings us to item 10. I understand with item 10, the Michigan Liquor Control Commission licensed establishments, we have item B is going to be postponed, Chief Moore?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, it's going to be postponed. So we will start with item A, which is Dexter Hospitality Holdings, LLC, DBA Stairway, 401 South Lafayette Avenue, request for plan of operation, entertainment, and dance permit agreements. Chief Moore.
Thank you, Mayor and City Commissioners. The Police Department received a request from Dexter Hospitality Holdings, LLC, to review a new plan of operation to be located at 401 South Lafayette in Royal Oak. The Class C license is being purchased from Shaba Investments, LLC, and it's currently in escrow in Commerce Township. Dexter previously operated Bistro 82 and Sabrage in the city of Royal Oak under a single Class C liquor license from 2014 until it closed in early 2020. After these businesses closed in March, Dexter entered into a lease agreement with Imaginate Restaurant, which currently operates under Dexter's original liquor license there. The applicant, Mr. Bellin, is known to the city. He's been involved in the restaurant and nightclub business for many, many years. This includes operating Bistro 82, Sabrage, the Moray in Royal Oak, as well as the Moray in Birmingham. A check of the MLCC revealed no violations for any of Mr. Bellin's ventures, and I did have the occasion to speak with Chief Clements from Birmingham, who characterized the concept in that jurisdiction as a well-run outfit as well. The applicants have employed a general manager with a lot of experience working in Birmingham as well as this city, and if approved, Stairway will operate as a nightclub on the second floor of the building. The requested hours of operation are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. And the applicants are also requesting to be open other days of the week for private events. The floor plan will remain virtually unchanged from the previous tenant, and it will continue to have 91 seats and 10 seats at the bar. The renovations were mostly cosmetic, and they are ready to open as we speak. The applicants are requesting to continue using the rooftop terrace outdoor service area, which has seats for 26 patrons. There will not be a bar outside. It will be by wait staff only. And they are requesting to have both an entertainment and a dance permit. And the dance floor will be the same as it was before, approximately 450 square feet. When live music is being performed, all the windows will remain closed upstairs. And Mr. Bellin is aware of the history of noise complaints that stemmed from the outdoor terrace when he operated previously, and he's pledged his cooperation and will not play music in the outdoor space. My findings indicate Mr. Bellin is a responsible operator, and I anticipate that will continue with this new concept. And I believe Mr. Bellin, as well as his attorney, Scott McDonald, are here tonight.
Okay. Questions for the chief? Okay. Mr. McDonald, Mr. Bellin, welcome. We always give an opportunity for the petitioner to come up here and speak a little bit more, tell us a little bit more about your concept, maybe address any concerns in public comment.
Of course, yes, thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, and thank you, Chief, for the wonderful report. Yes, I think that what I would simply add is that Mr. Bellin, when he ran Bistro 82, it was an award-winning concept, and I say this really for those who may not know or may not remember. I know a lot of you do, but it won the Free Press Reader's Choice Award the year that it opened in 2014. It was Detroit Hour's Restaurant of the Year in 2017. As the chief pointed out, none of these concepts, none of Mr. Bellin's restaurants have ever had an MLCC violation, which is pretty astounding. I do a lot of work in the liquor licensing realm, and I got to tell you that I've never seen a track record that pristine. So it's with that in mind, unfortunately, Bistro 82 and Sabrage were forced to close in early 2020, as many other restaurants and businesses were forced to do so. But Mr. Bellin's enthusiasm and commitment to the city of Royal Oak was unflagged. And here he is again. He worked during the height of the pandemic in 2020 to cooperatively with Chef Omar Mitchell to bring an Imaginate restaurant to take the place of Bistro 82 on the first floor of the building. That wasn't easy. It wasn't easy finding someone who was willing to do it, and it wasn't easy putting that deal together. And of course, to do so, Mr. Bellin had to transfer the liquor license that was used historically at that building on both floors to Mr. Mitchell's entity, and we certainly wish him the best of success, and prognosis is great so far. Been a wonderful addition to the city. But in a continuation of the same theme, Mr. Bellin would like to reopen the second floor, but of course that requires a new liquor license because the first was transferred to Chef Mitchell's entity. So with that in mind, we respectfully request approval of the transfer, and I'm here to answer any questions that the Commission may have, as is Mr. Bellin.
Questions for the petitioner? Mr. Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I'm a huge fan of the Maury. Love brunch there. Love the live music during the day. I guess my question is, and it's ready during public comment, there is a history at this location of noise complaints. And it was stated that you got aware of that and will work on that. What are the plans to mitigate noise pollution that didn't, what did you not do last time that you plan on doing this time?
Well, I can tell you, several steps, and that's an excellent question, and I wish I could thank the gentleman actually who brought it up. This establishment is going to keep the doors closed at all times during operation. I think the chief mentioned that the doors would remain closed during live entertainment. That's certainly true, but also during any kind of house music that's playing. Any music whatsoever during the hours of operation, those doors are staying closed.
When you say doors, we mean those big outdoor windows to the exterior.
Exactly, right.
Okay.
So the door that connects the inside of the second floor to that outdoor seating area,
Okay.
sure. And in addition to that, there won't be any speakers, no music whatsoever outside on the outdoor service area. And during hours of operation, security personnel will be there to enforce these rules. So those are steps, extra steps that are going to be taken this time to mitigate any potential problem.
Great, I appreciate that, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. McDonald. What we will do is we will open up the public hearing right now. And if there's anyone here to speak at the public hearing, they can come up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. All right, anyone wish to speak at the public hearing? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring the discussion back up to the side of the table. All right. Commissioner DeBuck.
Thank you, Mayor. As Interim Chief Sheridan is, thorough report, is an excellent operator that we're all familiar with, that brings, I think, excellence to every operation I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing under his management. So to see him breathe life back into that second story of this building, with another concept, I think is a great opportunity for the city. And I think people will enjoy it, although it is starting at 9, so it's a little close to my bedtime. I might not get up there. But I'm happy to move for approval.
All right, motion by Commissioner DeBuck. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Douglas. All right, discussion? Yeah, I'll just echo it. Oh, Commissioner Douglas.
Well, I would like to thank Commissioner Colo for his question, because that was my question as well, the concern about the noise spilling out to the outside terrace. And I'm glad you took the initiative to answer that, and Commissioner Colo for bringing it up, but they have satisfied my concern in this area.
Yeah, I'll just say, excellent operator, great food. Not going to hold your feet to the fire that there'll be banana pudding there. But like Commissioner DePuck, my bedtime, I'm pretty sure pajamas aren't part of the dress code there, so you might see me a little less often there.
No.
But, Commissioner DeBuck?
I just want to be clear that my motion is for all three resolutions for approval.
Okay, very good. Very good. Good clarity. Commissioner Douglas?
I have a procedural question as I'm looking at this. You've spoken of this as a public hearing, but our agenda doesn't describe it as listed as a public hearing, nor does the proposal memo. Mr. Brake, what's the story here?
That is something that we will have to look into. So I don't. I'll defer to the chief, because I don't know if technically that we do conduct a public hearing on the other plans of operations. So it's
if I
just
may,
from past memory.
It's the transfer, right?
I thought the transfer required a public hearing.
if I may, this does require a public hearing, and the notices did go out for both of these hearings in the proper radius, so it was noticed properly. I just don't know if the agenda reflects that.
Yeah, I think future agendas need to be more specific on that subject.
Duly noted.
Okay. Well, good. Good thing I did a public hearing, huh? Been doing this job too long. It's reflective now. Reflexes. All right. Okay, anybody else? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, congratulations, guys, and thank you for sticking it out with us tonight. I know you're a hard worker, Aaron. You got a lot of stuff to do, so have fun. See ya. All right. All right, that brings us to our second item. So what I'm going to do, Ms. Allen, I'll let you kind of come up and maybe, or unless Chief Moore, do you have a few things maybe to kick it off, and then we'll have Ms. Allen kind of come up and.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Kelly Allen has asked to postpone this, but she did want to introduce the concept, introduce the applicant. So you have my report in front of you. I don't know if you want me to detail the report or let Ms. Allen explain the concept and maybe introduce the applicants.
Yeah, save the report so we don't have to do it twice for the next meeting. So we'll do the fun stuff tonight. Ms. Allen, you want to come up? And I know we know a little bit about it. It sounds exciting.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nice to see you guys.
Same
Missed you
here.
all. This is so beautiful. This is the first time I've been here. So
it's my design.
They don't let me out much. No, really, it's fantastic.
Worked hard on it.
So happy for you. I'm here tonight with, this is John Stoya and his wife, Catherine Stoya, and they are the sole members of North End Taproom LLC. And I did ask for this to be, the public hearing aspect of this to be postponed because of the legislation that is pending. And I just want to kick that off and let you know what the plan is here and address a couple of points out of the gate. These two are really interesting young couple. They have a new baby, 7-month-old at home, first-time babysitter. Talk about being in bed at 9 o'clock. And they have moved back to the state of Michigan from out of state to be with their family. And John is an engineer by trade, and Catherine is a teacher. And one may say, well, what are you doing? This has been their brainchild. I have worked with a lot of clients that have been involved in legislation. This guy knows more about this legislation and how sausage is made in Lansing than anybody I've ever worked with. The legislation, he testified in Lansing for the bill. He's worked with the various trade associations regarding the bill. And for those of you at home, it's essentially a beer wall. And the liquor code as it stands allows for self-dispensing on tables, but not on walls. It's a sort of a distinction without a difference. But nevertheless, this will allow, with very strict restrictions in the bill itself regarding ID and scanning and radioactive wristbands and all the stuff that goes through your POS system, would allow people to dispense their own beer, wine, and mixed spirit drink. No spirits. So you can't get vodka out of a tap.
No frozen Long Island iced tea coming out of the wall?
No, none of that.
Okay.
But it is really interesting. There's only one other place in Michigan that is doing it, and it's on an Indian tribe casino. So they don't have to follow the Michigan Liquor Control Code, so they're able to do it. They are on the cutting edge of this thing. When the bill passes, and the reason we asked for postponement is because we thought we'd be really close. There was supposed to be another draft on someone's desk today, and it didn't happen. And we didn't want to put everybody through all these approvals and then have to not be able to do what they ultimately want to do. They do not have any experience in this industry. They're very smart about it, and they are going to put out, a big search to get the best management team that they can in place. You all know this is Dixie Moon Saloon. It's a big space. They bought the building.
Okay.
They're improving the building to their great, personal expense. And if anybody can make this happen, I want you to know the Stoyas can. So they're going to be around. I told them how interesting your meetings were, so maybe they'll be here all the time. They'll have to take turns because they have a new baby. But I really appreciate you letting us just introduce it tonight, and then we'll be in touch when this moves. It's in the House Regulatory Reform Committee right now.
Okay.
It's supposed to come out very soon. Okay?
Perfect.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
And all that serve safe stuff is all going to be addressed. We can talk about that next meeting and how you guys manage and control that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. Wonderful. Well, it sounds like a great idea, and so glad you guys are, putting all the hard work in to bring this concept to fruition and think about Royal Oak first. That's pretty awesome, and you got a big investment on your hands, but I think you guys made the right decision. So, we're looking forward to working with you and seeing what you propose, and if it meets the sniff test, we'll see what happens. So, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. My wife's a teacher. If anyone needs to know about beer, it's probably teachers. Just saying. Just a working hypothesis there. All right. Well, so we don't have any action on that. We can just not work on it, and then when it's ready to come back up, we don't trip any like application fees or like we're good?
Correct.
Okay, good. I want to make sure we don't add a wrinkle that could be avoided accidentally. Commissioner Douglas.
Well, so I'm going to go back to my question. We've noticed a public hearing here, correct, Chief?
That's correct.
So we
maybe
need to open and close the public hearing, right?
Yeah, so what I'm going to recommend that we do, that's a good point. We'll open up the public hearing and then see if anyone wants to make any comments. And then what I ask is that maybe we do another hearing once we hear the police report and everything like that. So when we do it next time, I'd ask that we do another hearing. Cool? All right. So I'm going to open up the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak tonight? Okay, nobody wishes to speak tonight, so we will close the public hearing and we'll move forward. Commissioner Douglas.
Mayor, I'd like to enter a motion to postpone item 10B, or yes, item 10B, until such time as the applicant has additional information for us.
So we have motion by Commissioner Douglas, second by Commissioner Macy. Discussion? All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Excuse me. All right, so you guys are officially unofficial. So we'll see you back when you're ready. Good luck with the legislation. Better to get that part taken care of as opposed to having to regroup, and go through all that. And you got a good attorney there, so good luck. Thank you. All righty, so that brings us to the end of our meeting. Oh no, we have one more item. Yes, we do. We do. All right, Ms. McLaughlin, I'm gonna let you kind of take the lead on this one, maybe, and set it up, so we don't trip on our words.
Can we just make the motion? I wrote it down.
You got the motion written down?
I think I do.
That makes sense. You're sitting next to the city attorney. All right, Commissioner Macy, go ahead with that motion.
Okay, I move that we accept the settlement agreement regarding Artesian Properties lawsuit as discussed in closed session and authorize the mayor or the city manager to sign such agreement.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Macy. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Prush. All right, discussion? All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Now we're at the end of the agenda. All right, anyone wish to make a motion to adjourn, notwithstanding anything important for the betterment of our community? We have a motion by Commissioner Prush. Second? Second by Commissioner Douglas. All right, discussion on this critical motion. All right, with no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Adjourned.